A guy who bought a rental property in 2019 is sitting on $40,000 of equity right now. His coworker who put the same down payment into index funds instead, she's sitting on $71,000. Same starting money, same 6 years, almost double the outcome. But flip the timeline 5 years earlier, and the real estate guy wins by a landslide. So which one actually makes you richer, property or the stock market? Everyone has an opinion. Almost nobody has done the actual math. We're about to do it. If you're in your 20s or 30s right now, you've probably heard both sides screamed at you with total confidence. Real estate bros telling you renting is throwing money away. Stock market purists telling you property is an illiquid money pit. Both sides skip the math that actually matters: leverage, taxes, maintenance costs, and what your money could have done elsewhere. By the end of this video, you'll be able to run this comparison yourself, for your own numbers, your own city, your own life, instead of trusting whoever's loudest on your feed. This is Money Axis. Let's get into it. Nobody tells you that the real estate versus stocks debate is basically rigged from the start, because most people comparing them are comparing completely different things without realizing it. I remember sitting with a spreadsheet at 1 a.m., trying to figure out if I should save for a house down payment or just keep dumping money into a brokerage account. Every calculator online gave me a different answer because none of them agreed on what to actually count. Does return include the mortgage interest I'd pay? Does it include the property taxes? What about the fact that a house is leveraged and my index fund isn't? I didn't understand this until I sat down and built the comparison myself, line by line. And the number that changed everything for me was this: a $30,000 down payment on a $300,000 house versus that same $30,000 in the market. Those aren't equivalent bets. One is a 10-to-1 leveraged position. The other isn't leveraged at all. That single fact explains almost every disagreement you've ever seen online about which one is better. Once you see that, the whole debate stops being about vibes and starts being about math you can actually check. The leverage effect: why real estate feels like it wins. When you buy a house with a mortgage, you control the entire asset's appreciation with a fraction of the cash. Put down $30,000 on a $300,000 house, and if that house appreciates 4% in a year, that's $12,000 of gain on your $30,000, a 40% return on your actual cash. That's leverage, and it's the single biggest reason real estate looks so powerful in success stories. But leverage cuts both ways. If that same house drops 4% in value, you've lost 40% of your down payment on paper. Nobody posts that version of the story. B. What real estate actually costs you that people forget. The purchase price is never the real cost. Property taxes typically run 1 to 2% of home value per year. Maintenance and repairs average 1 to 2% annually. Insurance, closing costs 2 to 5% going in, and realtor fees when you sell 5 to 6% going out, all eat into the return. A house that doubled in value over 15 years often returns far less than that once these are subtracted, sometimes barely beating inflation once you strip out the leverage. C. What stocks actually offer that people undersell. The stock market's long-run historical average return, before inflation, sits around 10% annually, including dividends reinvested. There's no mortgage, no roof to replace, no tenant to chase for rent. You can invest $50 or $50,000 with the same ease, and you can sell part of your position in seconds if you need cash. Something a house simply cannot do. The trade-off: no leverage unless you're using margin, which most beginners shouldn't. And the ride is bumpier. You'll see your account drop 20 to 30% in bad years, which is psychologically much harder to sit through than a house's slower-moving price. D. The real comparison, the one almost nobody runs. The fair comparison isn't house price growth versus stock market growth. It's what does your actual cash, the down payment plus every dollar spent on taxes, maintenance, and insurance, earn as a rate of return, compared to what that same cash would have earned fully invested in the market. Run that math honestly on most primary residences, and the answer is often close. Sometimes stocks win, sometimes real estate wins, depending on your local market, your interest rate, and how long you hold. Real estate tends to pull ahead when you get a low mortgage rate in a fast-appreciating market and you stay put long enough to absorb the transaction costs. Stocks tend to pull ahead when you'd otherwise be tying up cash in a slow-appreciating market with high property taxes. E. where investing platforms fit in. If the math points you toward building a stock position, whether that's alongside a home purchase or instead of one, the platform you use matters more than people think. This is where I've used Webull. It gives you commission-free stock and ETF trading, real-time market data, and a clean way to track exactly the kind of side-by-side performance we just walked through, so you're not guessing at your own returns, you're watching them. Whichever side of this math you land on, if part of your plan includes investing in the market, Webull makes it simple to start, commission-free trades, real-time data, and a clean interface for actually tracking whether your money's doing what you think it's doing. Links in the description. Common mistakes. Comparing house price growth to stock returns directly, ignoring leverage, taxes, maintenance, and transaction costs completely skews the comparison. Treating a house as a guaranteed investment, home values can and do fall, and illiquidity means you can't just sell a room if you need cash. Assuming rent is throwing money away. Renting isn't wasting money if the cash you save gets invested. It's only wasted if it's spent. Ignoring opportunity cost. Money tied up in a down payment isn't earning what it could elsewhere. That's a real cost, not a neutral choice. All or nothing thinking, this isn't either slash or. Plenty of people build wealth doing both, just not necessarily at the same time. Action step. This week, pick one number. Your local average home price or your current investable savings. Then go run the actual math: down payment, estimated property tax rate for your area, and estimated maintenance cost, against what that same cash would return at a historical 7 to 10% average in the market. You don't need to decide your whole financial future this week. You just need to see your real numbers once on paper. Money isn't about picking the right investment everyone agrees on. It's about knowing your own math well enough that you stop needing anyone's permission. If this helped you see the comparison clearly, subscribe to Money Axis. We break down exactly this kind of decision every week. That's the next Axis point.